Hey guys, I'm back with another review, and this time we're going to take a look at the DC Multiverse Batwoman figure, another from the Clayface Collect and Connect wave, and a highly anticipated figure, I think, for many, including myself, because the only Batwoman figure that exists in all of DC figure history, I think, is the DC Direct Batwoman, and the line she's from is escaping me. But I do have her for comparison's sake, so we'll see her in a little bit and see how she compares. But another reason that I highly anticipated this figure and the Jessica Cruz figure from this line is that it's a completely new sculpt and articulation scheme for the female body figures in by Mattel in the DC figures. Sorry, that came out really weird. But yeah, this is completely reworked from the old like DC UC bodies and the DC, even prior DC multiverse bodies. So, I mean, I played with it a little bit, and I it's a good start, I would say. But there are some disappointments, and so I will let you know what they are. But before we jump in, let me just show you her only accessory, and we'll take a look at her sculpt and everything. So as you can see, she has the default the Batwoman head that she comes with, which has her, like her mask or her cowl, and the long red-haired wig. So you can see that, which looks really good. But she also comes with an unmasked head, which has her buzz cut that she has for pretty much her whole history as a character. There was a time period where she had like a bob hairstyle, but right now in the Rebirth comics and sometimes in the past she had this kind of shaved head that she wears under the wig. I thought this head looked so bad in photos, and it's still not great, but I actually think it looks better in hand than it did in the photos. It's very, very pale, which she is in the comics. She's pretty pale, but it's a little too pale. That makes her look kind of like a zombie. And the eyes, I don't know. I feel like they look a little too empty. I don't know what it is. It's like she looks kind of like a doll and not like they were trying to make it look. I know she's a toy. I know she's, an action figure just like a doll is a toy, but I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I do think it looks better than it did in the photos. And I'll just pop it on for a second so you can see what it looks like on the body. If it wants to cooperate. Oh my goodness. This whole peg is like climbing out. I'm not sure what's happening here. I think I might have like pulled the peg too hard. Does that look okay? Oh, she's zoomed all in here. Yeah, it's standing a little tall, I think, because yeah. It doesn't help that I'm filming like on white now, and have my exposure bumped up a little bit to capture everybody's colors, but like yeah, her face is really washed out. But yeah, so before I pop this head, I do want to pop this head back on. But before I do so, I just want to show the articulation with this head, since it does, this one has a lot of hair that will affect it. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this peg. I don't know if I just pulled it too hard, but she does have like a gap back. It should, maybe I'm just not pushing it hard enough on, but I don't want to go crazy. Let me just show you that. So with this head, she can look like all the way up. She can look pretty well down, and obviously all the way around. So pop that one back off and hope that when I pop the other one on, it looks normal again. Interesting. Yeah, that looks okay. Alright, so let's take a look at her sculpting and details and everything. She does have the symbol just painted on her chest. Looks alright. It's not... Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like that's not quite what her symbol looks like, but maybe they changed it in Rebirth and I'm not recalling. I'm going to try to Google it off to the side as I show you more of this figure. She has a sculpted belt, which is like a all rubbery. Sorry guys. I am really curious now if this symbol is different. So, like I said, she's got a rubbery belt. It is, seems to be glued on or connecting her two halves. Oh, it has like a peg here, which is interesting. Okay, so I pulled up comics. No, I didn't want Batman. I wanted Batwoman. Okay. She does have the little spikes on her gauntlet. Smaller ones than Batman has. And there is some sculpted detail here, which is cool. And let me show you like the cape here. It does have some, details there, painted like a little bit of silver on these spots, and then her cape is pegged in on the back, red on the inside, black on the outside. It's a bit heavy, but that's how it is with rubber capes. Did I show a good enough shot of the face? I think this face looks really nice, and the hair had a little bit of like shading in it and everything too, which looks really good. I like how it goes over the little ear. This head looks nice. It's also very washed out in the face, but otherwise I think it looks nice. And then you have the new legs with the thigh cuts and double knees and everything. Look really nice. This is just painted. It's not sculpted. She has a very subtle heel, but it's not like a giant heeled boots like the DC Direct you'll see shortly. So I'm just taking a peek here at her in the comics, and it doesn't look like they quite changed her symbol, so I'm not... Oh, a little bit. It looks like they changed it a little bit. So let me pull in the DC Direct figure for a couple of reasons. A, that's the next step in my review. I'm going to compare them. But also, you can see the total difference that I mean in the symbol. Wow, this one doesn't even want to stand. She's got these, like, hips that are, like, cocked out to the side, and you can't do anything about it. And she doesn't want to stand. But, and then this one, you have a bit of loose everything syndrome. So between the two of them, they do not want to stand. I'm going to have to hold them. Alright, let me zoom out for a second. Yeah. Wow. So, okay. Maybe I can get just this one to stand at least. Yeah, my Batwoman is a little bit loose, like all over, and this heavy cape is, like I said, heavy. So she is a little difficult to stand. This one, I'm not going to be able to get to stand because of this. Look at this. This foot is going this way, this one's going this way. She's got, I don't know. So these are the two side by side. You can see the old DC Direct one, the symbol is like really pointed and long here, and it points here, and it has a lot of dip in the two between the wings. And then this one is very fat and like a one lump. And it looks like in the books right now, she has something kind of in between. They did adjust it a little bit, but it's not that quite so much like a blob. So I'm not sure why they didn't do a little bit better of a job on here. But looking at them side by side, you can see, first of all, like I said, these hips are ridiculous. These like legs are ridiculous. Articulation's better on this one, clearly. This one has the longer fins on, oh, see, there she goes. Longer fins on the arm, and this one got very bent. Oops. She has a loose belt, and it has the bat symbol here, which she no longer has. But it's loose, and it just kind of sits like crooked, like on her hip. She has one fist and one like open sort of arm. Its articulation obviously isn't as good. The cape is also heavy and rubbery, red on the inside, black on the outside, of course. And then the heads are, she looks very old. Let me zoom in a little bit. She looks very old in the DC Direct figure. I feel, I don't know how, when she's like got a covered up face. And it looks like she has pupils painted in, even though it's supposed to just be like white lenses. Oh, maybe they're supposed to be like a metallic silver. But it comes off strange. And she has very curly, like ginger red hair, not fake dyed red hair or wig hair. So I really like the head on this one. I mean, overall, I still think with the flaws that I will present in this figure, I still think it's a way better figure. And it's, you know, a more modern version of the character, whereas this one is just like, whoa, very old school DC Direct looking, very glossy. She just looks like not so much a superhero, I'll just say that. But I'll put her to the side and zoom back out again. And we will take a look at the articulation on this, which is one of the things that really excited me about this figure to begin with. So we'll start with the head like we did. Get him all the way out there. So this head still moves all the way down. It's only going to move as far up as it can with the hair, which is really nothing. Still looks side to side really well. Her arms will go up like that, and they will go all the way around as usual. Unfortunately, they do not get a bicep swivel, they being the ladies. Very similar to Hasbro styling, they have a swivel in the elbow instead with the hinge. They have a swivel at the wrist and a hinge, unlike the Rebirth Superman and Martian Manhunter figures that have, all the ones that even had swappable hands, they don't have hinges. The ladies do have hinges in the hands. They have the diaphragm, like, instead of an ab crunch, instead of a cut or anything, they have the diaphragm right under the chest. And that's, I personally really like this look for a female figure. I do prefer it on the Hasbro figures as well, as opposed to the ones where they sort of do the cut like right here. I just think it makes it look pretty natural. However, this one is pretty flawed. Looks fine from the front, and when you're not bending it or anything, it does move a decent bit forward and quite a bit back. But what you're not seeing from this front angle is what's going on in the back. And let me see if I can show you a little bit better. There is a huge gap right here in between the joint when you move forward and even back. If you can see that. It's just got this big gap. And I assume they're doing it to give more range of motion. And it gives a gap on the front too, if you look here, when you pull back. I hope that they do a little work on that and can make it look a little better. It's also pretty loose, as you can see. Like I'm just very gently wiggling, and it's moving. I feel like quite a few of her joints are like that, and I don't know why. I hope they can fix that in future figures. Otherwise, like, the range of motion is decent, and it looks good from the front, which I guess is important, the most important. But we'll move down, and we have these, you know, Hasbro-style hips. They go out about that far. Unfortunately, she doesn't do the full splits like the Rebirth Superman. Not sure why they couldn't do that on this, though they have similar joints. They do have slightly different joints, I think, though. I think the Superman had, like, bigger gapping around the peg. They do have the twist at the thigh, double jointed knees that are very smooth, almost too smooth, and that's why they do feel a little loose at times. And then you have a hinged ankle. We'll go back and forward, and still no ankle pivot, despite this whole figure being entirely new sculpting and articulation. So that's a bit of a letdown on that front. Because I feel like that is... There are some people I know that aren't keen on posing their figures a lot. They will just stand them in what we call vanilla posing. You know, just basically like this, standing straight up. But even then, I think the ankle pivots, as long as they're not loose, are very important. Because then you can at least, if you need to spread their legs a little to weigh out like a heavy cape, you can do it and they don't sit like on the edge of their foot. So I don't know why they didn't put that in there. It looks like the next wave, the Lex Luthor Rebirth wave, should have some ankle pivots, at least on some of the figures. I think the Rey figure had it at New York Comic Con, so hopefully they're working on it. Otherwise, I do really like this figure. Like I said, there are some loose joints, and that gapping in the torso is really weird. The skin tone is a bit washed out, but otherwise I do really like it, and I like the initiative that Mattel is taking moving forward. So, yeah, my Jessica Cruz review is pretty similar. You know, they're on pretty much the same body. And it's a good direction for Mattel, I feel. So they just need a little bit of work on it and some tighten some things up. But yeah, that's it, guys. Sorry to ramble, repeat myself. Just getting back in the groove. But yeah, so this has been my review of the DC Multiverse Batwoman figure from Rebirth, from the Clayface Collect and Connect wave. And I will be reviewing Clayface shortly, so stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.